Hey guys, Pete Jones here with Good in the Head. As always, invite you to go to goodinthehead.com. Check out the content. There's books for sale, podcast episodes, everything you could ever want to reprogram the subconscious mind and live a really higher version of yourself and a better life in general. Today, I have on the podcast Chad McLean. He is the creator and founder with his wife, Cari, of mentaljoe.com. You can go there and get high quality t-shirts like this one. Absolutely love them. And they each come with a message, as you'll find out in the episode. Uh, Check it out. Follow them on Instagram, Facebook, and enjoy. Today's episode is featuring Chad McLean. Chad, welcome to the show.
Hey man, I appreciate you having me, bud.
I appreciate you coming on. So I want to dive right into it. My wife and I first heard you speak on stage at the Arizona Psychedelic Society conference just last month, and it was an incredible story. And immediately I was like, "Oh my God, I got to have him on the show." So thanks for showing up, man.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's always one of those things you never know how it's going to be received or people resonate with it or whatnot. And I tend to beat myself up and go, oh, I shouldn't have said that. That was and then that key piece of what I might have said actually hits home more than I thought it did. So I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, it was a really great experience for us hearing your story. If I could, I'd like to jump right in and just start with your own life story from little kid
Yeah.
on up. Tell us everything, man.
Yeah, so young kid, grew up in Billings, Montana. I got an older brother, younger sister. My unfortunately, my dad was an alcoholic and somewhat abusive, and my mom, raised three kids essentially on her own. So she was, mama brain pinged out 100 miles an hour all the time, and pretty always in fight or flight, constantly. I was a C student, I guess you'd say. I was kind of the goofball. I was liked by a lot of people, so I was kind of like the class clown, but always, made time for the kids that didn't have friends. And I was kind of one of those. I got bullied, somewhat in high school as well, and whatnot. But played sports up until my junior year, got cut. Playing basketball there, and then I just said, "Screw it, man! I'm just going to be a kid and have fun and live life." But I just didn't really have any direction. I wasn't great at school. School didn't excite me, and went into the military. I don't think cap and gown even hit the ground, and I was already in basic training. So at 18 years old, I'm right into basic and went down to Fort Benning, Georgia, home of the infantry. I think it's new now. I don't think it's Benning anymore. I think all these bases are getting renamed for God knows what reasons. But went down to Benning, went infantry, and then went to airborne school. And while I was in airborne school, the 75th Ranger Regiment came down and brought one of their cadre down as a liaison, and I was, raised my hand. I was like, "Cool, yeah, I'll do that. This sounds cool. Let's go try to be a ranger." So went there and went through RIP at that time, is Ranger Indoctrination Program. Now it's called RASP.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's a little bit longer too. I think it's like 2 months as opposed to like a month and a week. What RIP was, and so graduated there, made it through all that, passed all that, and went up to the Second Ranger Battalion out in Fort Lewis, Washington. Um, was in Ranger Battalion for about a year. I was lined up, getting ready to go to sniper section, and with that, I was getting ready to go to Ranger school as well. So I kind of everything was kind of lining up. But we did a mass tack jump into Spokane Fairchild Air Force Base, doing an airfield seizure, and it was a night jump. So I don't know. Again, I always numbers I'm always fuzzy on, but I think it's 300 to 500 guys, right? It was a full battalion jump, so we're all in the air, and that night, I look up and I see my chute starting to kind of implode on itself, and I look down and there's another parachute below me. In airborne school, they teach you to, run off the canopy. So here I am midair trying to run off this canopy,
Oh man.
and before you know it, I
Ooh.
wake up on the ground. Um, to this day, I don't know. I don't know if it was 100 feet. I don't know if it's 10 feet. I don't know. But what I do know is when I woke up from the waist down, both legs were completely numb. Couldn't feel anything. I'm sitting here doing the body check. Shit, do I have any compound fractures? What's going on? And I didn't, thankfully. But eventually, I got some feeling in my lower extremities and was able to get up and again, I remember I can sit here because I will get to it. I through a ketamine session, I relived that jump. I can remember seeing the C-130 over to my right hand side, a couple snipers coming on dirt bikes at me, and one of the guys, his name was Gibson, and I was going to be his spotter. So I think that's the only reason like his name resonates with me, and I remember that because I was going to be his spotter when I moved to that section. But he told me, hey, the Gustav gunners are over here, man. You got to go that way. And from there, same thing. I don't remember what night. I don't even remember getting back on the plane to fly back to Lewis.
Hmm.
The problem, what happened with that jump, and I reconnected with my gunner, my Gustav gunner, probably 3 years ago, and him and I talked for shit like 3 hours. He was like, dude, where did you go? You dropped off. Like, what the hell? So him and I caught up, and I asked him about that jump that night. He said there was a ton of people that got med boarded out of the military because of that jump. And what had happened is the Air Force flew the wrong way. They didn't fly with the DZ, they flew across the DZ. So guys were hitting hangars, guys were hitting planes and falling off the whole. It was just a complete shit show. And he told me like they essentially canceled the training mission because so many guys got hurt.
Wow.
And I just told him, I was like, yeah, dude, I don't remember getting on the plane. I don't remember having, a debrief after, none of it.
So you're thinking
But that,
maybe a severe concussion
oh,
and
there
memory
100,
loss and
yeah, there was
oh yeah.
some, I guarantee you I
Wow.
smashed my head on the tarmac 100%. And I didn't know that until, you know, I'd probably say 4 years ago when I really started diving into ketamine and plant medicine. But with that being said, when I relived that and I set that intention, my intention was when I did ketamine was like, hey, like where the fuck did my life go south? Like when I was on the y-axis of the road, like why did I go this route?
Mhm.
Well, I relived the night of the jump, and what it did for me is it helped me tie in after that jump because right, I'm in Ranger Battalion with a bunch of alpha males, right? I gotta operate. I can't go to sick call, otherwise you're a pussy if you do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I go to the dock and here's 800 milligram, here's some Ranger candy for you. Chomp on that for a bit. And that never really worked. So then now it's Oxy, Tramadol, whatever I can get my hands on, right. To
Yep,
ease
yep.
the pain. And I just spiraled from there. I just spiraled,
A
drinking too
lot, yeah.
much.
A lot of
Um,
people say that when they start taking any big pharma meds, I mean, they start spiraling, and I've had that experience myself too.
Yep.
I
And
totally get it.
yeah, just couldn't think straight. And again, at 19,
Hmm.
20 years old, you don't have all the wherewithal and emotional intelligence anyways, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So one night I was spiraling. I was drinking too much, popping pain pills. I was in a hurt locker. And at Ranger Battalion, there's phones there to use, right? But they're in the team room, and I'm not going to use that phone to call my mom because I know it's monitored. So what do? I drive to the PX
Mhm.
and I go steal phone cards because I'm broke. I don't have any
Mhm.
money. Everything's being spent on pain pills. So I try to go steal some cards to call my mom to let her know I'm spiraling. I need help. I'm not quite sure where to pivot here. And lo and behold, I got caught. I got caught by the MPs. And I still remember this day. I was sitting in the office just behind the PX, and the guy looked at me and said, "Man, I'm not even gonna ridicule you. I'm not gonna hammer you. I'm not gonna do nothing." He goes, "The thunder and bullshit that's about to come upon you, going back to battalion." He goes, "I feel bad for you, man." He goes, "Because blood in the water at this point." So they take me back to battalion, and my entire squad sitting outside, and they're like, "What in the fuck did you do, dude?" And then from there, the hazing just kicked in like you've never believed it. And so, I came from it was a brotherhood that I was, potentially going to go to war with one day, and you trust all these guys, you make one mistake, and now you're just thrown to the wolves. I didn't get a lot of hazing from my squad because I think the guys knew there was something wrong with me. I think the old Chad kind of switched after that jump. But man, the other platoons and the other folks, that just piled on. And I essentially got assassinated in front of the whole company. It was First Sergeant Grippy was his name. Monday morning, big company formation. He brought me out and he said, "Hey man, do you want to tell your brothers?" He called me out, so I had to go out in front of the entire company. He said, "Hey man, do you want to tell your brothers what you did?" And
No.
yeah, I was obviously very fucking hesitant, right? Um, but you could hear the whispers in formation. You could hear some of the guys going, "Oh, they're going to assassinate this kid. This kid's done." and you could just hear the whispers. And I was like, I told him, I was like, hey, this is what I did.
You're 19 years old at the time.
19.
Damn.
And so here it goes. As soon as that information gets released, now I am fucking, I'm shark bait. So every Tom, Dick, and Harry that wanted to prove that they're a, tough guy, spec four mafia tabbed, they're coming after me, and they made an example out of me. And not until years later did I find out why. Well, there was guys in the battalion that were tabbed, right, in that company, but they were selling drugs. There were some guys that were running a gambling ring. Believe it or not, there was a guy that was in my squad years later that went to prison for armed robbery. So it's like all this fucking shit goes on, and here I am. I'm the guy that got filleted for stealing fucking phone cards.
Unreal.
You
You know,
know,
I've got a son that just got out of the army last year, so we went and saw him graduate in Georgia, and he's got some stories that are mind blowing. So I love hearing your perspective and your stories. This is really interesting. Like, what
it,
else? It's unreal.
exactly.
Unreal.
Well, and it's 19, and so same thing. Like I'm a battalion. I'm like, I'm not gonna let you break me. I knew I screwed up, but same thing coming kind of from, if you rewind it, my childhood, I was extremely OCD, and why? Well, there's a whole trauma response to OCD and why that happens, right? And I was really good at what I did, but because I was at battalion, like I wasn't gonna let them break me. Like, okay, I screwed up. You wanna go? Let's go. For me, it was like if you failed, if you screwed up, punishment was part of it.
Yeah.
So because I screwed it, because I failed, oh, you want to punish me? Go ahead. You can smoke the shit out of me. You can wake me up at 2 in the morning and yank me out of my bunk and the whole 9 yards. I'm gonna play the game. You're not gonna break me. So I had that mentality,
Oh
right?
yeah. Right on. Thank God,
So
man.
yeah, it's probably the only thing. And then when I got RFS, so I got kicked out of Ranger Battalion, I went down to just a regular infantry grunt unit, and did really well down there. I became a leader. Coming from battalion, guys looked up to me, but I hid from it. I didn't tell guys that I burnt it from a jump. I didn't tell guys that I stole phone cards. It was, hey, I got kicked out of Ranger Battalion for fighting. Because that's a lot cooler to
Yeah, yeah,
say.
for
If
sure.
I say I got kicked out of Ranger Battalion for fighting, no one's really going to fuck with me,
Yep.
right? They're going to keep me at bay. So I
Smart.
lived that lie for so many years, and so got out of the military, went back home to Billings, Montana, and went to college.
How long were you in for?
I was just under that 4 year mark. I was right at that
Okay.
4 year mark.
Same with
I wanted,
myself.
yeah, I wanted to reenlist, right? Because I didn't really have anything. I didn't have a relationship with my dad. There wasn't really much to go back home to in Billings, but at the same time, my back was fucked. No one knew it but me. I hid that. Like my wife barely found out about my back 8 years ago. We'll be married 10 years next year. We've been together 14, but she didn't even know about my back. That's how much I hid it from people. Like my
Wow.
mom
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
know. Nobody knew.
Because that's the manly thing to do, right? I get it.
Yeah, yeah. I just got a chomp on it, right? It's an injury. So what? I can still walk. I'm okay. I'll figure it out. So I went back to Montana, and sadly became quite a good bar fighter. Not undefeated, may I say. But I bar fought. And for me, I think that was a way of showing my machismo, or I'm a man, or I'm a tough guy. And it became such a thing that some of the guys in the police department even got to know me, to the point of like, they'd show up at the bar and bars would clear out. I mean, you're in Billings, Montana, going to a bar called Desperados, for Christ's sakes. It's like a small gilly. So it's bull riding, dancing, drinking beer, and bar fighting,
What you
So
do, right?
that's what you do, sadly.
Understandably, I'm imagining you had a ton of repressed rage within, and that was a great tool to get some of that out, you know?
Yeah, I mean, nail on the head. Thank you for saying that, because I think that's what it stems from, right? Is the hazing, all the shit that happened in Ranger Battalion, what happened there. I turned that into, oh, you want to fuck with me? Now I'm out here, and now I can play ball, and I'm not allowing you to hurt me. So I'm going to make sure I break your jaw before you can swing.
Yep.
So that was kind of the mentality. You hurt me, I'm not. It's game over for you. And so I carried that. I carried that for goddamn 20 plus years, Pete. And I was a miserable guy. From hiding from people, drinking too much. relationship after relationship. I was engaged twice prior to Cari, and I continue to fail over and over and over. So then those failures just build up, and I'm a loser and I'm a piece of shit and I'm never going to do anything with my life. And so Cari and I, we're married with two young boys, and there was no connectivity for her and I.
Oh, can I ask? Let's go back just a little bit. How
Yeah.
did you meet Carrie, and what did she see in you? And like, how did you get together? How long were you dating, and how did it
Yeah,
go?
beautiful. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, so I actually met Cari through a mutual friend. I worked at Bank of America for about 12 years. I ran a big chunk of their foreclosure division. And a gal that I managed there, I don't know what she saw in me either, just loved me. It was like, hey, I got this girlfriend that I think you would really dig. Like, I think you guys would hit it off. And we both got out of really bad relationships, so we really weren't looking for anything anyways. And we just started working out together. We'd meet at the park and do sprints. We'd start hanging out, going on hikes, doing that kind of stuff. And then we're like, hey, you're kind of fucking cool. Like I like hanging out with you. Like it's really easy. Like before I'm used to chaos, right? Chaos is where I work really well. It's how I grew up. It's the whole nine yards. It's past relationships. And so her and I met, and it was just really, really easy. Um, and so we dated, for a little bit, and I almost screwed that up. Cheated on her in some sense. I flew out to Texas for a big conference and a big foreclosure thing where we're doing with all the different departments. And at that time, kind of got offered almost a position out in Texas to be a VP of a department.
Mm.
And Cari and I were only together, I think 2 or 3 months. And in my mind, right, I'm like, well, I really like this chick, but she's not moving to Texas. And in the mind, I'm a poor kid, right? So I'm going to go chase the money and the title
Mhm.
because that's what I want, right? That's what's important.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so I kind of screwed that up, started flirting with a gal there at the office, and came back and told Cari it's not going to work. I'm moving to Texas. I'm going to take this job. And shit completely just spiraled there. That was kind of like my first like thought of maybe I just need to off myself.
Mm.
I'm not a good dude. I can't get over this hump. I don't know what it is.
That was the
But
first
Cari,
time that you'd ever experienced like ideation like that before?
yeah, yep,
Wow.
first time.
After everything you'd been through, that was it, huh? That's
It was
interesting.
it because and it was, and I think it was a positive moment for me to go, oh shit, like what's going on with this chick that like I really like, and there's a calmness to there that I've never had before. And so, we started kind of reconciling and hanging out and talking, and from there, then we just started dating. It was just really easy. We're best friends. We'd go on hikes. I did stuff with her that I would do with any previous girls. Like she was just it was super easy. No other way to explain it. We're friends, and it was super easy. So we get married, right? And we've got two little boys, and you know how that goes. I always Cari and I are very open about it. She's worried about these two little human beings, that she just had, and she's got this husband that's a little mentally ill and spiraling all the time and has a temper, and so she's walking on NHL and she's trying to protect these two little boys. And at this time, I'm working at Zillow in Scottsdale, and I live way out in Lake Pleasant, so I'm an hour and 10 minutes one way
Mhm.
on the road, and then coming home it's an hour and a half because of traffic time. So I'm leaving at 4 in the morning. I'm going to work, because I go early to shit shower shave at the gym and go into work so I can avoid traffic in the morning. But on the way home, I can't. It's 5 o'clock traffic from Scottsdale way out to Peoria. So I'm an hour and a half on the road. So I'm almost 3 hours a day in the damn car just going to work.
What'd you do at that
And
time?
it was podcast or listening to music, right?
Awesome.
Like I didn't use the time probably appropriately to listen to books or same thing, just didn't have the emotional intelligence to say, hey, how do I level up? What should I do to continue my learning in life? Right. Um, and angry every fucking night I had to drive home because here I am, I'm in traffic again. God damn it. So then I get home and I'm pissed off because I'm in traffic for an hour and a half. Yeah, Cari's got two boys that are screaming, and she's one on the hip and one here, and I'm telling these 3-year-olds, pick your shit up. What are you doing? And just Cari and I aren't connected. There's no intimacy there. Like we're roommates. Like it's not working. And one night, one of her friends was in town. We went over and had dinner at their place, and politics gets involved. And he's an attorney, so he knows how to poke and prod a little bit, right? And conveniently enough, I wasn't really drinking. I had one like glass of whiskey, but I blew up because now that I can rewind, it was I felt like I was backed into a corner. I had this guy and his girlfriend teaming up on me, and Cari sitting there not saying anything. It's her friend. And I'm sitting here going, here I am again. I got to fucking fight out of this corner. No one wants to protect me. Fuck you. So I just came after this dude. Just came after this dude. And then I stood up and I looked at her. I said, you coming with me or not? I'm leaving. She sat there and I fucking left. I left and got in the car and I went home and I stewed on it. And we had a babysitter. So the boys are in bed and I come home and I'm watching TV and, Cari stays there and continues to drink and she comes home and there's all kind of variables to it, but the meat and potato is her and I got in a huge fight and an argument.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, the mind just clicked, and I said, "You know what? Fuck this. I'm done. I can't ever figure life out. I'm a piece of shit. I'm a loser. I keep fucking up relationships and careers. Like I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm over it." Walked in the bedroom, pulled a gun out of the safe, walked right out this door, right here. She's standing there, gun to the head, tension on the trigger, and I just stared at her. And quite honestly, I think if she would have breathed the wrong way or said something, I think that trigger's fully pulled. At that time, everything just kind of paused for me. It just paused, and I see her, and she's just trembling, and she's crying, and I'm just sitting there like, "Fucking, please say something." And at that point, I heard the phone because she called 911, and you could hear the operator say, "Ma'am, are you still there?" And I looked at her, and I'm like, "Who the fuck is that?" She's like, "I called the cops." So immediately I was like, "God damn it!" So I looked down. I shook the uh, the slide back, and boom, a round pops out. And I'm like, "Oh fuck!" It was fully loaded. What am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
So I walked back. I dropped the magazine. I go put it in my safe. Just looked at her and I walked outside. Sat on the tailgate of my truck. Sheriffs come up from all angles of the street, guns drawn because they get a call, hey, male with gun, da 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 da. So they're coming out protecting themselves. And I'm just sitting there on the back of the tailgate. Two guys out of the sheriffs, I think it was five sheriffs that showed up, Ranger Battalion guys. And so immediately, because I had my second Ranger Battalion shirt on, and they see it, and then they start talking. And I told them, I was like, man, I need help. I don't know what's going on with my brain. I don't think right. Something needs to fucking change. I need help.
Dude, this is such a common story too, from what I understand. I've talked to so many people, and there are literally just thousands of people. I
Yes.
mean, you probably don't realize that you're not alone. You think you're the only one feeling this way, but literally thousands of guys are feeling this every day, you know?
Every single day. And I didn't realize that. Right? I didn't realize that. And so went to what I call the cuckoo bin. People, oh, you got to say impatient, Chad. Well, the fuck I do. If I say cuckoo bin, you know what I'm talking about pretty quickly.
Yeah. Did you go to
So I
one in
did that
Scottsdale or
in
where'd
Banner. It was Banner
okay,
Health here.
been there too. Yeah.
Yep. So I went there and I'm like, what am I doing here, man? I don't, again, I don't belong here. Like, what is going
Mm.
on?
Yep.
And so finally had a conversation with Cari probably about 72 hours after I was in there. And her and I just started talking. And I was like, I don't mean to do this to you, but I don't know what's going on with my brain. I don't think right. Like I'm always ruminating on what's in the future and how can I was like, I'm never present. Like, and I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. And so she's like, well, what do you want to do? I said, anything, anything, anything. Like, I'm open to it. I'm tired of living like this. And so she dug in and go ahead.
At this time, were you taking like SSRIs
Oh,
or
yeah.
okay.
For 20 plus years, I was on some kind of mood stabilizer, whether it was
Yeah, yeah.
Wellbutrin or an Effexor, or you name it. I was on
Sure, sure.
something, trying to find something that worked for over 20 years.
Same here, dude. For
Yeah.
15, I was on
Yep.
lithium antidepressants, and I totally get it. I know
Yeah.
exactly how you were feeling, what you were going
Yep.
through, man.
One would work for what, 4 or 5 months. You'd feel
Yeah,
good. But I'd gain a bunch of weight, right? Because they
yeah,
throw
yeah.
weight on you. And then, God, I'm a fat piece of shit. I'm off this stuff.
Mhm.
So then what? And the cycle goes, okay, I think I got a foundation. So you work out, you feel good about yourself. Life happens, the shit hits the fan. Oh, I got to get back on something because, like, obviously I can't live life without something, right? So Cari dug in. She dug in and she found ketamine. And I didn't know what ketamine was. I'm a DARE kid from Billings, Montana that went to elementary schools to speak on behalf of the DARE program. So what do I know about this stuff?
Right.
And she's like, "Are you interested?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, if it's petrified dog shit and it's gonna fix this, like, serve it up. Let's go. So went and did ketamine.
Well, let's
Um,
explain to the audience because a lot of people don't know what ketamine is, and I'm still learning about it. Can you
yeah.
tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I'll give it from a knuckle dragger standpoint. I won't get into far of it, but ketamine is a disassociate, right? It's a drug that is used in hospitals today. So if you break your arm, you dislocate your shoulder, firefighters use it, right, to calm a patient down. They give it to you so they can reset that arm. If they got to re-break an arm, they'll use that. So there's a lot of settings that they'll use ketamine for medical, but it was actually also used in World War II to disassociate a soldier on the battlefield so they could get that soldier off the battlefield. So it's a safe medication that they've known for years to work.
So does it block
Um,
pain receptors then?
it does. There is a point where people use ketamine for pain as well. But it's again, knuckle dragger standpoint. There's a lot we can go down that rabbit hole with it, but essentially what they have found out at certain um, doses, essentially you would disassociate and you could relive experiences. And what ketamine does, like other psychedelics, right, is it helps regrow the neurotransmitters and within the brain, right? So I always tell people, if we have this windshield on our car, right? The inside of the windshield is always grimy. For some reason, we're all lazy. We don't lean
Yeah.
over and,
All right.
and clean the damn inside of that windshield, right?
Yeah.
We don't do it. But my analogy bringing that up is we all get in a car, we get behind, we just drive. All that grimy on the windshield is trauma. Life hurts, all that's right. But we know if we leaned over and we just wiped that thing, we could see cleaner, right? We could see through the windshield better. But you introduce something like a ketamine or a psychedelic or a plant medicine, and you use these things with setting, and intention. Before you know it, you're starting to drive and you got a brand new windshield in front of you. So, really, what ketamine and these psychedelics and these plant medicines do is they allow for neuroplasticity. So, as these things happen and you're in the medicine and you're reliving some of these experiences, you kind of start connecting the dots of where your triggers are at and why you act the way you do. And from that, your brain starts repairing. And so now you have what I call like all these new neural pathways that are talking to different sides of the brain that haven't talked to each other in years. So as you're going through the ketamine, if it's done right, have someone in there with you. They're journaling. They're downloading this stuff as you're going through this experience. And then once you're out of the medicine, I'm asked up, you start talking to that therapist or that space holder. Hey, I saw this during my session. I'm trying to figure out what this is and how this connects to here. And then so they can kind of relay you and kind of help you connect that experience. Because usually almost 99% of the time, the person that's holding space for you, they've worked with that said medicine that you're setting with numerous times. So they understand the experience that you're in or have been going through, right? So yeah, I mean, in layman's terms, that's kind of what ketamine and these psychedelics do. And so there's different what they call neuroplasticity windows. And I'm probably going to screw it up. So forgive me, you listeners, you can Google it and check it out for yourselves. But I think ketamine has a neuroplasticity window of like 2 weeks. Psilocybin, I want to say, is like 3 weeks. And then like ibogaine, I want to say is 4 weeks. DMT, 5-MeO DMT, I want to say is like 3 weeks. But there's different neuroplasticity windows that happen after doing the medicine. And those are the best times to bring something to your life, right? We say habits, right? The best way to create a habit is to do it for 21 days. And now it becomes a part of your routine in your life. So now you have this different thought pattern that is laid out in front of you because you've gone through this experience. And so you start looking at things differently. Your mind starts to slow down. You look at things from a different context. Instead of reacting and being pissed off at a situation, now you can zoom way out. You can kind of look at that situation from all angles and go, okay, do I react? Do I not react? Do I just let it pass by? Is it worth the energy? Do I act now or do I sit on it and think about it and figure out, okay, what's a way for me to react to not piss that other person off? Right. So you really come out of that fight or flight to an area where you can actually sit with information that's being thrown at you and not have to react to this stuff.
Huh.
Um, and so that's kind of where everything started happening. Like I
Can,
really started slowing down.
can you tell us about your very first experience of what you went through and what it was like for you?
It was horrible. It was horrible. And it's why I guess you'd say, well, and we'll get into why we created Mental Joe, but it's that first experience. I didn't know anything about it, Pete. And so we get into it and I go to this facility and it's an IV. So they stick you with an IV. It's on a drip. They put you in a chair, they pull the curtain and essentially good luck. I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Hmm.
There wasn't a playlist curated for me. There was no intake or integration up front. It's literally come in, we're going to plug you into this drug and good luck. And I
Hmm.
came out of that experience and I still remember it because Cari was driving me home and I looked at her. I was like, I don't know if you're real. I was like, I don't like, is this even like this? Is this real life or what I was doing real? Like, I don't like, what the fuck?
So like
I
almost like your consciousness decouples and you have a whole different experience without the body.
correct. And so
Oh,
I didn't know, and I had no
wow.
integration. So here I am trying to connect all these dots going through ketamine for at least the first year and a half by myself. And then I went to another ketamine clinic here in the Valley, Enlightened Wellness, Dr. Sandy.
Hmm.
And it was the first time she does intermuscular. And we got introduced at a big conference up in Denver and just ended up reconnecting. And I was like, hey, I would love to come sit at your facility and see your process. Man, the intake was beautiful. She went through the whole thing. How many meds have you been on? What's your family hit? I mean, we went through a huge intake. Then I went in and her office was just safe. And it felt comfortable and it felt good. Um, and she sat in the room and Cari usually would sit in most of my ketamine sessions with me because same thing, neither one of us knew anything. And so did this ketamine session with Dr. Sandy and holy shit, did I release the demons. Didn't realize it at the time. I was punching. Um, they had me close to the wall. I was punching a wall. Essentially, while I was in the session, moved the chair. I had sweats on. I completely tore my sweats. I had a 15-pound weighted blanket on me that I tore. Like I let the demons out. It was for the first time in a ketamine session, I was able to really just fucking let everything go. Because prior to that, I didn't have anybody in the room. So here I am tethered to an IV and I'm trying to go through this experience. But meanwhile, I'm aware because I'm tied to an IV. I don't have anybody to talk to or go through this. And so went through that experience with her and I was like, oh shit, this is how ketamine should be held. This is the way ketamine should be done. And so I ended up going through 6 different ketamine clinics here in the Valley until I found Sandy.
Hmm.
And I can say without a doubt, because I've gone through the experiences, that the way they do it there, in my opinion, is kind of the gold standard. Right. And there's some other people that are leveling up in the ketamine, I guess you'd say, industry and clinics doing that, doing the right integration, doing the right intake, really having the right set and setting in the room with you to download these experiences with you. Right. But that first one was a motherfucker, dude. I was scared. I didn't know. I didn't want to go back in. But by about that third one, I was like, shit, this is kind of what it's like to live present. This is what it's like to not have my brain go 1,000 miles an hour and worry about shit I can't control. Huh. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's keep diving into this experience.
Would you say that's pretty much the first time in your life you experienced that sort of inner presence and peace and calmness?
Yeah, dude.
Wow,
And
that's awesome.
I know exactly when it happened. I was in my backyard. I took trash out. And as I came around the corner of the house in the backyard, right, I got 2 boys, 2 little just minion terrors, right? And the backyard is destroyed. And here's this OCD guy that everything needs to be picked up. You put it back in the toy box, da 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 da. And I remember coming around and seeing the backyard just completely destroyed and looking at it and going, huh, not a big deal. It's just toys. I can pick it up later. And I paused and I was like, whoa,
Who am I?
like, what the fuck just happened? Like, okay, this is what it's like to live present. I was actually living in the moment
So you
instead
would
of
say
worry.
ketamine empowered you to live in the moment, be more present, and literally let go of the need for anything to be a certain way.
Exactly.
Wow, what a gift,
Exactly.
man. What a gift.
Yeah. And I didn't realize that then. And I was like, well, this is because same thing, you'd always hear people, oh, you gotta live in the present,
Hmm.
you
What
know,
does that mean? What the hell
yeah.
are
And
you
I was like,
talking
what the
about,
fuck
right?
do you mean, man? I'm worried about all this shit 20 years down the road. It's not gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, ketamine was my catalyst into what I'd call the plant medicine community or the ecosystem, right? And then from there, started branching out a little bit more. I wanted to dive a little bit deeper. I wanted to find other things about myself and relive some stuff to address it. And did psilocybin and had some amazing journeys there. I'm a really, really big fan of 5-MeO DMT. Really big fan of it. If you know anything about that stuff, and I don't want to go rabbit holes in all these different medicines because that's a whole other podcast
Hmm.
probably. Um, but the only things I really haven't done is ibogaine and ayahuasca, and same thing. Like I use these things with setting and intention, right? Like I'm not just going to go out to use these things to use these things. And when it's the right time, I'll go set with that. For the experience. To me personally, like I have a really solid foundation now. I know who I am. I've got boundaries up. I know what bullshit I'm willing to deal with and not deal with. So I've got a really strong foundation of who I am now. So when I go use medicine, I use it with the purpose of a control alt delete, if you will. Kind of a refresher, a deep dive back in to see what else is there. And Cari and I are massive uh, cheerleaders for MDMA. We are big, big cheerleaders for MDMA, and in the community that people don't know what MDMA is, it's Molly slash ecstasy, right?
Okay, so we
Big,
know results don't lie. So what results are you getting that makes you such big fans?
yeah. So same. I mean, Cari and I were so disconnected, right? We were in that roommate phase of our marriage, and I couldn't figure it out. She couldn't figure it out, and we were on divorce row, and I was looking at attorneys, the whole 9 yards, and we had a therapist that did MDMA therapy and it connect that individual. And so Cari and I booked a session, and we had a huge fight before we even went, and it was gritty on the truck ride over, and it was silent the whole time, and I walked into this therapist's office and I fucking just cried because it was like, here I am again. I'm fucking it up, and we're gonna get a divorce. I'm a loser and I'm a piece of shit. And this is my life, I guess. We went in, and for the first time after we dropped into the medicine, about an hour and a half later, for the very first time, I think Cari and I finally saw each other. We really kind of saw each other's hurt, the pain, that we both caused each other, and allowed our boundaries, our walls to kind of drop and just kind of melt in each other's arms again and just have very tough conversations that most people don't want to have. But we're able to have those conversations without an ego, without a response, without anything, and just set, you know, it. And she gave me some stuff, man. I was able to look at it and say, you know what? I'm sorry. I get you're saying. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. I'm sorry I didn't show up in the way you needed. I'm gonna work on that for you. I'm gonna be a better human. I'm gonna be a better father. I'm gonna be a better husband. I promise you. I'm putting in the work. I don't want to lose you. And so, that was our first session. And then from
Wow.
there, we've done other ones to the point now where we kind of call it part of our marriage contract. And I will find a weekend where we can get coverage, and we go find ourselves an little cute Airbnb or something fun like that, or a cabin, or we'll just do it here at home. And quite candidly, we drop in. We cheers each other, and we take our little medicine, and we enjoy each other. Like it's more of a celebration now. Like we set with it. I mean, most of the time, like if it's too much information for the audience, maybe, but we like find a big tub and we sit in a tub. We draw ourselves a bubble bath. We got some music on, and we sit there eye to eye. We just talk. We just fucking talk and download. And it's more of a celebration now of like, look where we were 6 years ago and look where we're at today.
What are
Like
the
instead of
conversations like? How do they differ when you're on the medicine as opposed to when you're not?
yeah, I mean, right now I'd say it's more fun.
Nice.
Like we giggle, we make fun of each other, and we still have because Cari's messy and I'm still OCD, right? But it's not to the 10th degree where I drive her nuts. But there's things of I won't get too personal with it, but maybe there's something that is bothering me about Cari, right? I'm like, hey babe, like I need you to really work. Like we'll use this example. She's sometimes can get really bad with her phone. She's on her phone a ton.
Mhm.
And so, I'll bring it up in medicine and say, hey, babe, like when you're on your phone, me and the boys all we see is this girl just doing this, and you're not present, you're not connected to us, and I need you to be better about that. Can you put some guardrails up to make sure you're not on your phone all the time?
Mhm.
And it's an immediate, yeah, I get it. I'm bad at it. I know I've got to get better with it. Right. Now, that's an easy conversation to have in medicine. Right. And now her and I can have it being outside of medicine as well, because there's no ego involved. It's a, I love you. I want to see the better version of you. Level up, please. Right. And so there's not this infighting now. It's not a, you're doing bad. Now it's a, okay,
Yeah.
I get it. I understand it. I'll work on that. And same thing. She gives me that feedback too, but they're more of just like introspective. Like we'll talk about our childhood and maybe something that was holding Cari back. She'll open up to me about, say, hey, I had this aha moment of something that happened to me when I was a kid, and I realized I still have that boundary up with you because of this moment in time when I was a child. So
Mm.
we're able to share those kind of like aha moments with each other to open up the door to say, hey, the reason I might react to X is because of what happened over here when I was 10, 12, high
Yeah.
school, whatever, or an ex-boyfriend, or, mom and dad did something, right? So those conversations are just, they're door openers to the soul to understand who that human being is at our core, right? And so they're just softer communications. And I yell it to high heaven. I can't wait for the day that MDMA is fully legalized, right? Because if you understand MDMA and the history of MDMA, in the 70s and early 80s, it was actually used for couples therapy. And they were seeing massive amounts of data coming in on how well this medicine worked with couples.
Mm.
Well, unfortunately, MDMA got out there to the ether, and now you got raves and EDM
Yeah.
festivals, the whole nine yards. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and so not hating on that. Like, do it. I get it. Have fun with it. But the problem is it got out of hand. People, you start mixing Molly with, I don't know what it was back in the day, but people were dying on it, right? Because you would overheat and they'd have heart attacks. And so now, and you're in the Reagan era, and in '85, they got thrown on the Schedule One. And if you look in '85, the divorce rate in mental health skyrocketed right after that. So MDMA is, if used in the proper set and setting, I think is a medicine every goddamn couple in the United States, if not the world, needs to use. And again, you use in the right set and setting with a therapist and you talk through this stuff, it is an absolute game changer. And I'll die on that hill all day. I don't care what doctor wants to tell me otherwise. Go kick fucking rocks, because I know what it's done for me and my wife. And I know what it's done for probably over, I'm going to say 50 to 75 couples that we've talked to that have reached out to us saying, hey, man, like we're in a spot, like we need to pivot. Like, what do we do? And we'll connect them with those therapists. And all of them come back saying, dude, you're right. This shit saved our marriage. You're right. We do love each other. We just, we were in that roommate phase and we didn't realize it was a phase in life because no one talks about it. No one wants to,
Yeah.
hash that out. So it's like, if we talk about this stuff more, it's amazing how much of us are all on the same goddamn bus together.
It is, man. Every single couple goes through shit. That's life, man. And
Yeah.
we aren't trained and brought up with tools to really have those difficult conversations and go deep and really get to know one another on a total spiritual plane so that we
Yeah.
can bring from that place into the reality we're currently living as humans together with
Yep.
kids, with all this other stuff going on in life, and
Yeah.
and really integrate it, you know. So it sounds like that medicine is super helpful. I just put out a book about a month ago called Beyond Triggers, and it's all about
Okay.
relationship triggers. It's a
Okay.
thick book, and I loved going through it. And just through all the relationships in my life, I've experienced every single bit of that book. And it's just so much fun to hear that coupled with that book, maybe you could get together, you know, and have a plant medicine help you communicate on a totally different level. What I want to revisit now is the ketamine. Let's say um, I've gone through a lot of trauma in my life, got PTSD, I'm super depressed, I just don't want to live anymore, I'm hopeless. Um, how can someone that is in that state intentionally um, go into a ketamine sit? What should they do to prepare? Where should they go? And like knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently your very first time?
I mean, honestly, I probably would have done more research. I
Okay.
probably would ask the questions, what's your process look like? Again, people say, integration to me. I'm like, what the fuck is integration? Like, what are
Mhm.
you talking about? Essentially it's talk therapy, right? It's what it is. It's just a new name for
Let's
it, right?
process through the experience and then
Exactly.
live from
Yeah.
that elevated point.
Yep, exactly. I mean, I would have asked more questions. I probably would have went to a couple different clinics to interview that set and setting and checked it all out. But again, I was in such a spiral downward kind of a place. I just needed to jump in.
Grasping.
I
Oh
didn't.
yeah,
That
been
was
there.
it. Just grasping at
I'll
everything.
try anything. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. But ketamine, I mean, same for those listeners out there, do your research or reach out to us. And that's where I think, like I said, this is where Mental Joe kind of got created.
Mm.
Roughly about my seventh or eighth ketamine session, clear as day, big, huge, like if I was looking at the stars and just like a ticker come across the screen, create an apparel company. What the fuck is that? Create an apparel company. What am I going to do with that? I'm in corporate real estate for 20 years. I don't know anything about apparel. And so as more and more of these dots got connected, that's where Mental Joe slowly started becoming a brand. And what we realized is there's so many people like me, the average Joe out there, that doesn't know about ketamine, doesn't know about plant medicine, maybe wants to get some help, but they don't know who to reach out to, where to source stuff because they're scared and everything's, I hate to say it, and I always say it, and I love these people, but everyone's got the crunchy hippie with the purple hair and the nose ring and everything else like that. And I love those folks. Do you? I'm not talking shit. But the average Joe that maybe wants to dive into this space, that kind of scares off. Not everyone's ready for the feathers and the drum circle and the whatnot, right?
Right. We just watched In War and Water, and we're talking badass Navy SEAL dudes, man.
Yeah, yeah, I know those folks. I
Yeah.
know, I know Marcus and Amber. Don't know DJ, but DJ was one of the stories that I resonated with, and he was on the Sean Ryan podcast. And I heard DJ's story, and that's what I did. I was like, if this tip of the spear bad motherfucker can go own his shit and go look in the mirror, okay, maybe I need to go do that for myself. So because I up to a lot of those top tier guys, right? Because they were my Peyton Manning, right? They were my
Yep.
John Elway. They were right. I like sports, but like military wise, those are the guys you look up to, right? They're the tip of the spear, right? Um, but yeah, so ketamine, people reach out to us, and that's where the brand started growing. So we have this brand, like the shirt you're wearing, I'm wearing my hat
Yeah,
of
let's take a moment, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah, a
into the
little,
storm. That's
you
badass.
know, so some,
Great
kind of
shirts.
use, thank you. Thank you. And so we're just using apparel in a very subtle way to talk about psychedelic therapies, right? And, there's the psychedelic component of it, but everyone doesn't want to wear a tie-dye shirt,
Mhm.
right? Everyone wants to maybe wear a little something like this. It's kind of cute. It kind of brings you in, like you're going to have a conversation with somebody. But through the apparel, what we've created, in me and Cari's opinion, is a very authentic, transparent brand that is out here to bring awareness to this stuff. But we're also here to help people. The other part of the business that really no one knows about, that we don't really talk about, because there is HIPAA laws, and I'm not going to ask people to put their garbage out there because they're coming to us in confidence for help,
Mhm.
right? Is we help a lot of people find ketamine clinics. We help a lot of people find plant medicine retreats. We help them find therapists that are MDMA therapists, right? Like we connect them these individuals to go get the help. And in the last 3.5 years, we've had this little business open. We easily, we're tracking it for a long time, but we just get swamped. But we easily helped over 350 people into this community find plant medicine, find themselves again.
See,
And
that's
that's
such a great number, but I think that I hope you realize that by helping those 300, 350 people, you've probably helped actually, in reality, thousands through that.
thousands. Yeah. And
Yeah.
we know that. I just go conservative, right? Because
Yeah.
one person one time like got my face, so you don't help that many people. I'm like, hold on. There's 52 fucking weeks in a year. I guarantee you I talk to at least one person a week. I know Cari talks to one person a week. So that's 104 people a year. We've been doing this for 3.5 years. I guarantee it's 350 plus, and then that ripple effect of whoever. And I'll give what you said there, I'll give a perfect example of that. I got a firefighter friend, won't mention his name. But he came up to me at a football game and was like, dude, I've been watching you and I'm seeing you bloom into this new human being. And he's like, dude, I need some of that. He goes, I'm angry. I'm mad. I hate the world. I yell at my kids. I yell at my wife. He's like, I got to change, dude. So I set him up with ketamine. And now he texts me almost weekly, if not bi. I love you, brother. Thank you so much for changing my life. His wife has called and thanked me. So much to the point that his dad, 30 years in the fire department, just sat for his first ketamine session 2 weeks ago. And his stepmom is PD here in Phoenix, and she is setting for her first session. So right there, that's one family, three people that are doing it. And now he's got a ripple effect across different
Oh yeah,
firehouses of other guys that are doing this stuff.
that
So
is
to
so
your point,
cool.
yeah. So to your point, absolutely, it's more. But like I said, I try to stay on that conservative side of it, right? Because I can talk to that in very easy numbers. And the reason, again, that's the whole purpose behind Mental Joe and the brand is to help the GI Joes to the average Joes, right? And to get people into this plant medicine community to say, hey, man, there's another way to heal, and you don't have to pop pills, and
Mhm.
you don't have to drink your life away, and you don't have to be an asshole, and you don't have to be angry, and you don't have to live in this character that you created to stay safe in life, right? There's
Awesome.
another way to live. And so that's really what the brand is about. The apparel helps bring the people in and chuckle about it. And then once they come into our booth and they start asking more, and before you know it, now there's some trauma dumping happening. Well, Chad, what's your story? How did you get into this? Oh shit, man. Hey, could you have a resource? I'd really like to dive in. And then that's how this happens, and that's how it all unfolds.
You know, society grows and expands, I think, through stories and through communication, through connection, through community. And I think that what you've done with Mental Joe is way more massive than I think we're realizing right now. I think that the ripple effect is going to be exponential over the years. And I really hope that people are turned on to this, start following you, start buying shirts. Because, I mean, I bought this shirt because it's a big buffalo says into the storm,
Yeah.
speaking to the fact that a cow will see a storm and run away, right? But a buffalo, this creature that signifies and indicates and represents total abundance, especially for the Native Americans, will walk into the storm knowing it'll get through the storm much quicker, right? I
Yep,
just love the
exactly.
message.
Yeah, that was our thought process behind that. It was into the storm. Like when you go set for a psychedelic, session, therapy journey, whatever you want to call it, retreat, right? You don't know what you're getting into, but you're willing to set your ass on that mat, take the medicine, put on that eye mask, lay back, and say, "Show me the junk. What do I got to address? Let's get after it." And so that's kind of the purpose behind that. And so each one of our shirts, as you know, is we try to have a fun little design with it, but some kind of hidden meaning in that, right? To
Every one
to
of them.
again draw a conversation in with people. And I do all the designs myself. I got a graphic designer that helps me. And as this company grows, there's probably going to be a point in time I'm not going to be able to, design as much as I want to. And we've got some cool conversations that are happening on the backside to really help us scale and be a bigger brand. And, it's cool, right? I go from a guy that had a gun to his head 5 years ago, standing outside this door, to I've got apparel on NFL players. I've got apparel on UFC guys. The comedian Tom Segura, he has our Run DMT shirt and our Run DMT hat. There's other individuals. I always tell people I don't care about your politics. It was a cool moment in time for me, but we did some custom rash guards for Bobby Kennedy for his run for presidency, and we did some shirts for those guys as well. And I made some connections there. So, being this guy that wanted to end his life to now I'm on this trajectory where I'm really, meeting some really cool people that can resonate with our brand to the point, like I said, I've got some again, if we want to hierarchy it up, there's some individuals, I won't say who their name is because I don't know if they want people knowing, but it's cool. They've reached out. I've given them apparel. They wear it. They don't, tag us and post and talk about it, but the brand is speaking to people and it's speaking to people of all walks of life, and so we know we have something, we know we have a mission, we know where we're going with it. And I've always told people that the only thing is that are holding us back is scalability and capital. And once
Mhm.
we get capital, we can scale, right? But
Yeah.
this has literally been driven off of Cari and I's pockets. I dumped my 401k into this, my savings, and then Cari's funded a ton of this as well. And we're in debt to our eyeballs.
Hmm.
And old Chad, I would have spun out of control over this.
Yeah, yeah.
But same. As soon as I quit, as soon as I'm like, I can't do this anymore, I'm not going to put my family through this. I'll be goddamn if I get 4 or 5 calls or people reaching out and saying, thank you, keep doing what you're doing. Or,
Hmm.
hey, man, I'm reaching out because I need help. And I'll look at Cari and she's like, yep, I know. We got to keep pushing forward. We got to keep doing this. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
been a struggle for us. But seeing all the people that we've helped, that's what continues to push us down the road because I know we're making a difference.
Mhm.
And I say it over and over. I can't wait till we're scalable and we're a really big brand because if we can help that many people, it's just her and I can't imagine how many people we're going to help when we actually have a full team of people behind us.
Oh, yeah. And abundance uh, can be defined in many different ways. And it doesn't just come through money, it comes through connection, through relationships, through empowerment, and through seeing people go from hopeless and despondent, nihilistic, and just literally suicidal to
Yeah,
living life fully, being present in the moment, and being happy and joyful. It's such a beautiful thing to watch. And there's a quote by Earl Nightingale I love. It says, "Our rewards in life will always be in exact proportion to the contributions we render." And
hmm.
I get emotional because I see what you're doing, and that's what's
Yeah,
making me emotional, man. It's so powerful, and I really hope that I believe that things will unfold synchronistically and the right timing for you guys in every way. And just like it has, it'll keep
yeah.
unfolding exponentially. I want to say something about this shirt. I mean, this is the one I chose, but the coolest part about it is this little tag here. It says "Conquer the battle within." Do you
Thank
have a
you.
story behind that particular part of the shirt? And this is comfortable. It's cotton. We looked on the site and we're like, okay, it's like a $35 t-shirt. We spend that much at the mall, right?
That's
I
it.
would rather have a shirt that this comfortable and fits this well. And a portion of the money I know goes to helping vets
Yeah.
being able to afford and go to like Mexico with Michael Mannion, who was recently
Yep.
on the show, and Dewey Boga, and really have a beautiful healing journey, right?
Yeah, I mean, I went through, I guess that's the first year and a half of our business is I made a lot of mistakes, right? But I'd order shirts from, well, won't put them on blast, but I ordered shirts from just about every veteran apparel company you can imagine. And then I'd order shirts from somebody else. And I guess you'd say that's my research and development, right? And went through it and I was really stuck on I want an American made t-shirt. God damn it. I want an American made t-shirt. And I'm a swag snob, because I've bought shirts and they feel crunchy and the neck droops and the arms droop and
Hmm.
it doesn't fit the torso right. And I'm like, man, I gotta find the right shirt. Well, I ended up finding this company out of California that makes American made shirts, and boom, this is what we're wearing. And same with that, like everybody can buy a shirt, but I wanted to buy something that when you go to your closet, you're like, nope, I'm wearing that because that's a comfortable goddamn shirt. And I know I look good in that t-shirt. And so we add the little things like the little hem tape at the bottom, right? Again, little just subtleties to say, hey, when you buy a $35 shirt, you're getting a $35 shirt, if not maybe closer to a $45 shirt. Because that's right. You go to a Dick's Sporting Goods, you go to the mall, you go to someplace, right? And a goddamn Nike t-shirt's $42. You go and buy a Travis Matthews golf baseball hat, right? It's a $45, $50 hat. It is a Yping hat. There's nothing special about it. That hat is a blank hat at $6 or $7, if not cheaper, because they're buying them at so much bulk,
Hmm.
right? So same thing. I struggled with that. $35 is fair for a really high end, nice, clean t-shirt because I know people are spending that on a goddamn Nike, Reebok, whatever you want to call it, t-shirt, if not more. Um, so yeah, conquer the battle within is our tagline. Mental Joe is the name of the company, and again, I say it's for the average Joes to the GI Joes, and that's why it's Mental Joe. But the conquer the battle within, same thing. I kind of came to me on a plant medicine journey, and it's just for some reason conquer the battle within. It just sat with me. I was like, screw it. That's our tagline. Mental Joe, conquer the battle within, right? You know exactly what we're talking about with mental. Conquer the battle within tells you right? We're trying to conquer and overcome those battles that we internally fight with ourselves. And so that's kind of, just part of the birthing process of Mental Joe. And I appreciate what you said there with the abundance and the unfolding with a certain time and things happening, because we feel that. We do. There are some conversations we're having. There are some different fulfillment companies we're talking to help us get leveled up. And I think we're there. I think we're starting to come around the corner where we can see a big growth with us in 2026. And, early on, I had companies like Grunt Style. Tim Jensen, the CEO of Grunt Style, he flew me out to San Antonio to be on their podcast because, he was interested enough to see what we were doing with apparel, and I appreciate that because Grunt Style is, they're a very big name in the veteran community, and they're a very big brand. So the fact that they looked over the fence to say, hey, I'm kind of curious what this Mental Joe guy is about and what he's doing in this space, So when we started making those types of connections, we knew like we had something here. We just, like you said, it's all going to unfold the way it's supposed to unfold,
Yeah.
down the road
I
for
gotta
us.
say, man, we got a grunt style out here at Wild Horse Pass and Casino and the Outlet Mall, and we go there, and we always buy stuff from there. And I, I I'm not I'm not saying anything, but I like your shirts better, than
Thank
even
you.
grunt style. And
Thank
and
you.
that's honestly, and I'm gonna have more Mental Joe shirts in the t-shirt section of my closet than grunt style suits. So I mean,
I
that's interesting.
appreciate
You even
that.
brought that up. I was like, huh, that's wild. I'm gonna have to look for that podcast now and check it out.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
I'll send it to you. I think it's on our website, but if you need it, I'll shoot it over to you as well. But
Awesome.
yeah, same thing. I appreciate that, man. Because same thing. Like I didn't know anything about this, but I've literally through this entire process have allowed, like, sounds woo woo, but I've allowed plant medicine to kind of guide Mental Joe in and out, kind of where we're at. And sadly, there's people that have dropped off, the bus. But same thing. It's like I love you. Maybe you're not part of this journey, but maybe I'll see you at the next bus stop if you level up, want to come hang out. Like I'm not ever saying no, but like this is where I'm going. I'm putting my head down and this is what we have to do. And
Mhm.
so you lose some of those relationships. We lost a lot of friends and we've lost a lot of family along the way because again, if you think about it, we're talking about mental health and psychedelics. You couldn't ask for two more stigmatized topics to try to wrap your fucking your brand around than these things.
Yeah, yeah,
So you can imagine the conversations we've had with some family members that don't agree or don't understand what we're doing.
yeah.
And I just tell them, man, I know you don't get it. I know you don't understand, but I need you to respect what we're doing. And if I can read you all the testimonies that Cari and I get on the weekly of how we've saved lives, how people have changed because of what we've talked about, here's a book. Go ahead and read it. But they won't
That's
pick
worth
up
it.
that book. They won't read
Yeah.
that testimonial. So it's like, okay,
That's okay, man. So not
yeah,
everybody's going to be ready right here, right now, but it speaks
that's
to the
it.
importance of boundaries and protecting your own
Yeah,
peace and energy. Like we leak energy in so many different ways throughout our day, but when we can first thing in the morning be very intentional about where we want to spend our time, energy, attention, and focus, that life
yeah.
changes, man, and big things start to happen. And it looks like you guys have you're a great example of doing that. So hats off, man. Keep it up.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, that's been the hardest thing, right? Is drawing those boundaries and realizing like what you're willing to put in. Like you said, protect my peace. I protect my time really well. I protect, my boys and my wife are the utmost important to me. So it's one reason like I don't go out and do a bunch of conferences and stuff because I realize this window that I'm in, Connor's 8 and Colin's 7. I realize the window that I'm in with boys right now isn't going to be much longer. There's a stat out
Yeah,
there that
yeah.
says you spend 75% of the time with your children up to the age of 12. So 75% of the time I'm ever going to spend with these little dudes, especially with Connor and Colin, I only have 4 or 5 years really to really hunker down as much of that time as I can with these guys. So I don't go to the big conferences. I don't travel a whole lot. I would like to do more of that. I think we're starting to maybe turn that over because the boys realize what dad's doing now. But man, I protect the time I have with my boys and my wife to the utmost importance because I know that when that I get to spend with them is very, very short. And I build such a strong foundation to where when these guys are young men, they're like, no, I'm going to hang out with fucking mom and dad this weekend,
Yeah.
as opposed to I'm going to go do do this, So I know that window's small and it's super important to me.
Look at the life you were living before your plant medicine experiences and all this interesting, energetic, and spiritual growth, and compare it to where you're at right now. And like, you got to be just so proud as a father and a husband now, as compared to how you were feeling about yourself back then. Like, self-identifying
Yeah.
is a huge, huge part of our personal existence as human on the planet, and it's like if you're identifying as a piece of shit and as a fat ass and I'm worthless, I'm a waste of
Yeah.
oxygen. I mean, I thought all those things when I was on those meds for years, and then
Yep.
to be where I'm at now, the identity that I've assumed and grown into is so different. I'm proud now, and I can't
Yeah.
imagine you feel any different.
Yeah, same. I walk around with my chest out a little bit different. I walk with a little different swagger, and I'm a loud guy anyways, and I got a lot of fucking energy. And before I would hide, right? Because I'd be around certain groups. I own it now. And I'm like, hey, I'm loud. I'm full of energy. Like, if you don't like it, fuck off. Like, this is who I am, man. It's all with authenticity. It's all with transparency. It's all with love. Like, I want you to be your best self. And so if I'm calling you out, I'm calling you out because I love you. It's not because I'm trying to make fun of you. It's not because I know there's a bigger version of you inside you, but you're playing it safe. So stop fucking playing it safe. I'm
And I
tired of
love
it.
that.
Don't stop. So,
That's a
I
great way to
always,
live.
yeah. And so, I still have my dark days,
Mhm.
right? But they're not really days. Now they're hours and moments, right? I recover quicker. I get on the saddle quicker. I look at it and go, okay, why do I feel like this today? All right. I haven't had good sleep. I haven't eaten well. I've missed the gym in 3 days. you know, I haven't done the laundry, right? My OCD still talks to me. So I got to have an orderly bedroom and the house has got to be vacuumed and kept up. So, those things still sneak up. But now I can zoom out and go back and look at it and go, well, why are you angst? Why do you feel depressed? What are the variables that are off rails that I need to hone back into back on the saddle? So it happens a lot quicker now, as opposed to old days, Chad, the saddle, it was weeks and months. And I'm like, oh, I did the gym for a month. All right, well, screw it. I can't go re-engage in the gym. I'm a fat piece of shit. I guess that's where life holds me. All right, I'm not going to put in the work.
Yeah.
To where now it's like, no, you missed it for 3 days. Well, why did you miss it? Well, you were traveling, you were doing this, you were doing that, you got baseball games. Like, give yourself some grace. And I
Yeah, it's
think
because you're a good man and you have priorities and you're living according to those.
correct, correct. But that old version again to the people that are going to listen to this, if you're sitting there and you're telling yourself, I promise you, you give yourself the grace and you have the courage to go set with plant medicine, your life will be it'll be over the moon. You just got to put in the work. And that's what you got to put in the goddamn work though.
I got to say, it takes so much courage just to take that first step. I remember years ago when I had some people very close to me go and do an ayahuasca sit, and I'm thinking, oh no, they're going to go do some hard drugs. I had no clue what it was. They came back different people, and I was just mind blown. Within a few months, I was like, what the hell is going on? They brought back Hape with them.
Yeah.
And I sat with one of them and did Hape for the first time and immediately got on fourvisions.com and bought Kirips for myself and my wife and a whole bunch of different Hapes and started experimenting with that in meditation after Wim Hof breathing, and
Yeah.
just whoa, what else is out there? I started listening to Ram Dass. He's talking about this thing called psilocybin, and I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? LSD, what's that? And
Yeah.
started watching documentaries and tons of podcasts and reading books, and I was like, oh, there is something to this, man. This is
Yep.
crazy cool.
Yeah.
And going in the first time, it's like you do not know what to expect. And what you think you want is never what you're going to experience. It gives you what you need. And sometimes it's a kick in the pants. Well, every time.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny too, right? You hear, you've sat with medicine enough to know, everyone's always, oh, you have to set an intention. You got to
Mm.
set an, and quite candidly, I've only really set one true intention. That was ketamine when I relived my jump. And the intention that night was show me where I fucking went wrong in life. Where did I make the decision in life? And so I relived that jump. And then that's where it connected of, oh, you started popping pain pills. You started doing this. And that's why you went down this side of the road. But for me, like, I don't really set an intention. And the reason I say that is just to what you just said. When you're in the medicine, it is going to show you what you need to see. And so for me, I'm like, it's counterintuitive. If I set an intention, I'm focused over here, wanting to see that intention, which is an expectation.
Hmm.
I go into the medicine with no intention of just like, all right, pants are on the ankles, shirts up high, show me what you got, let's go. Right? It's going to show me what I need to see.
Yeah.
And I get so much more from that as opposed to setting a hard line intention, which turns into an expectation. Because then you come out of medicine going, well, I didn't see that. I
Yeah.
didn't see
Yeah.
my intention. Meanwhile, you missed everything that was going on over here. So I I'm probably one of the oddball one guys that I'll always push it back when someone says, well, what's your intention for today? I don't have an intention. Let's just do the medicine. It's going to show me what I need to see anyways.
Yeah. I am so with you there because the very first time I tried uh, sitting with psilocybin, I was microdosing and I didn't know what my intention should be. So I just said, just tell me what I need to see.
Mm,
And that's all I've ever done ever since, and I was blown away by what I saw. I saw everything. It
hmm
was unreal. Um, my mom once told me that expectations are premeditated resentments. So if
mm.
you're going in with an intention and expecting it to be a certain way, and then you get your ass kicked, you might be a little resentful.
A little bit.
Understandably.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. So I wish more people was doing this stuff, but again, same. That's what our brand's about, bringing awareness. I say it's our brand is helping people that are on the fence that are really curious about this ecosystem
Mhm.
that are slowly coming in. And I've had people and friends, over the last 3.5 years that were first kind of like, what the fuck, dude?
Mhm.
To the point where really close girlfriend of mine that I've known for years. We've known each other in high school, and she struggled with years on all kinds of antidepressants. Going to caveat this here: super religious, okay,
Mhm.
super religious, but on all kinds of different medication. Would drink quite a bit. Was overweight, the whole 9 yards, and so she started seeing the gradual growth of Chad McLean.
Mhm.
And so she'd ping me now and then. I'd tell her, hey, sister, you got to sit. I'll get someone. She's in Oregon. I'd say, I got you, girl. Just trust me. You see me growing. I need you to grow too. And she finally sat for her first time a year ago. And now she's off all her medication. She's down like 70 freaking pounds.
Mhm.
She's like, Chad, I'm living a life that I didn't think was possible. And so when I have those stories like that of people that are especially close to me that hung around and saw the trajectory of Chad and Cari, and then them finally scratching their head going, all right, fuck it. Maybe I need to try this too. They jump in and now they have an experience and you see their trajectory, who they are as a couple and a family and a mother and everything else. It's to me, it's like there's nothing better than that, man.
Yep.
And I was
There's
able to facilitate that, be a mouthpiece to have her go challenge herself to live her what now she is doing is living some of her best life. And it's those are the stories for me of like that's why we continue to do what we do.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, man. That's incredible. I really think now at this stage of my life, I've lived so many lives in this one life, and I look back at when I weighed 265 pounds, and then within 6 months, beginning a healing journey, I dropped down to 190. I was shredded. My kids started respecting me, wanting to spend time with me again.
Dude, oh,
It was amazing. And I think that's available to absolutely anybody. And I want to say too, at this point, that there's no necessity for anybody to do plant medicine of any kind. It's a tool to
yeah.
remember who you truly are and to begin expanding spiritually in a way that you never have before. But like I had Coulter Smith on the podcast a few weeks ago, and he's talking about out of body experiences through breath work. And I've experienced that as well. And he is such an incredible breath work facilitator. I mean, I highly
Yeah.
recommend people to check that out. Check out now. I just want to see everyone win.
That's
Experiment
it.
with everything and keep what works for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to
Meanwhile,
do anything a certain way.
yeah. Meanwhile, I'll push back a little bit and I'm like, psychedelics are for everybody with the right setting,
Hey, I got to agree with
right?
you, man. But if
Because
people are too
it's,
scared or concerned about
yeah.
their health when it comes to psychedelics, there are other ways. Like the Monroe Institute has these. It's called the Gateway Tapes out on YouTube. There's 53 of them that I found, and they have guided meditations. And I tried the first one, popped out of body, had this crazy, crazy experience that I don't even share with anybody because it is so freaking out there, man. But
Yeah.
for people who want to try something like that, I mean, there's so many different tools out there to experiment with, like figure out what works for you and keep doing that and be your best
Yeah.
self, conquer the battle within every day.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. I mean, the ebbs and flows of life, right? I mean, again, like I said, I still have my bad days, but now they're hours and moments. They're not days. They're not weeks. They're not months. And if you can get to that trajectory, like you said, I mean, I think you probably saw an Instagram post of me and when I was lifting the other day,
First
and
one on there, I saw it this morning. Loved it.
I couldn't believe it, dude. Like I looked in the mirror and I'm veining out. I'm like, oh shit, who is this guy?
Hell
And then I
yeah.
look, same thing. I was one bad weekend away from being over 300 pounds. I was
Mm.
miserable, man. I was miserable. And so same thing. Now I'm constantly playing catch with my boys. I'm wrestling with them. They want to hang out. My oldest is like, Dad, I want to go lift with you. So he's coming to the gym once or twice a week and kind of slowly teaching him to go through this process. And so it's just cool because I know where you're at with it. Kids want to hang out more. Now they're engaged. They feel a different energy with that. And I just love on my boys now, man. My youngest guy, Colin, every time he comes home or we miss each other, I'll yell down the hallway and be like, hey, because I know, hug and a kiss, here I come. So he comes
Hell yeah.
running down, he gives me a hug and a kiss, and I just look at him eye to eye. I'm like, hey dude, I love you, bro. Because I love you too, Dad. And boom, and he'll go out about his day. But I make it intentional to like smother these dude in so much love and positivity that as they grow up, they're going to have the emotional intelligence to guide themselves through life. And yeah, they're going to screw up. They're boys. They're going to make some really stupid decisions.
Mhm.
But the point is they're going to be able to come to dad, download that, and say, okay, well, what did you learn from that experience? Are you going to do that again? Probably not, are we? And be able to set in a place to, have firm guardrails up, but not in such a place that it, deters them from challenging their boundaries a little bit.
I love that. And the fact that they can experience love and trust and bonding and boundaries and punishments too. They know what to
Yeah,
expect from you. You say what you mean what you say. And they're always going to have that trust and respect enough to come back to you when shit hits a fan, when they're going through their dark time. They're going to know, like, I can go to dad. And that's
exactly.
huge, man. That's so amazing. Now we've only got maybe half an hour tops left.
Okay.
Before we were recording, you were telling me what you're going to be doing here, leaving at
Yeah.
10:45. Want to share more about that? That's exciting stuff.
Yeah, so Cari and I are leaving here shortly to drive over to Scottsdale to go to Enlightened Wellness Ketamine Clinic. We are part of a documentary series that's coming out. It's been pushed back a couple times, but I think they're just kind of tightening the shot group and cleaning some things up. But it's a documentary called The Journey Home, and it will be on Amazon
Mm.
Prime and Apple TV. I think they're shooting for the end of the year to have this go out. And honored to be part of the process. Quite honestly, it kind of dives into the story of Cari and I. It dives into some of my bar fighting days, and we actually went up to Montana and did some filming up there. And uh, won't give it all away, but actually had a sit down conversation with my dad on camera. That I'm 48 years old. I've never had a face to face conversation with my dad about anything. And I got to give him props too. I mean, for him to sit there and have these cameras and being questioned and, essentially not confrontational, very firm conversation, of some stuff, but I will give him props. He took it on the chin. He said yes to it and he stood there and, he did his thing. So I have to give my dad some props for, saying yes to the conversation and letting that unfold the way it did. But yeah, we're excited about it, but also nervous, right? Because it's millions and millions of people that are going to have opinions and they're going to say you're a douchebag or you're an asshole or you're full of shit or whatever. And I'm like, okay, do you sit behind your keyboard and be miserable? That's okay. I'm not for you. I'm for all the other people I want to go heal and have a better life. So to be in that headspace to know that's coming around the corner and just set with it and be like, okay, no worries, man. Catch you on the flip side. So, but yeah, that's a project that we've been on and a part of it for well over a year now. So it'll be cool to kind of see the culmination of getting that thing launched to being on TV and kind of hiding behind it a little bit.
Can't wait to see it, man. That's going to be so incredible. I know just from the little I do know about you that your top priority is your wife and your relationship with her, and everything else comes from the quality of that. And you've worked
Yeah,
so hard together. I've watched some videos of you two talking very directly with one another and openly about some
yeah.
hard things, and that's been inspiring for me. I'm like,
Thank
my
you.
favorite thing to do with my wife, we used to do it every Sunday. We would sit there and we just put 1 hour of our time intentionally, first thing in the morning when we wake up, to look at a Tony Robbins relationship video. And he's
Mm,
done these videos over the years in front of 10,000 people. He'll call out people on their bullshit right in
yeah,
front of
I've
everyone.
seen it. Yeah,
And man, it was so fun. We would end up spending sometimes 6, 7, 8 hours in bed talking about just that thing. And that
yeah.
was so beautiful. And I really love and respect the fact that you had the courage to go to that ketamine sit, and that your wife was able to find something that really just was a door opening for limitless other doorways for you guys to expand into together. And the fact that you're so tight and closely bonded now is just inspiring, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. It's been some heavy fucking lifting for sure, but I mean the rewards, right? And that's why I tell people if you can look yourself in the mirror and you can really own your shit, right? And own your shit as a couple. Where do we fail? Where do we fall short? What do you need from me? What can I take off your plate? How can I show up for you today? Right? Cari's the breadwinner right now. And that for me, right? A lot of males, that's a big ego trip to get over. I worked in corporate real estate. I'm used to making 6 figure and 5 figure bonuses, and now it's mental Joe. I'm Mr. Doubtfire and making sure everything's dialed in. So it's been tough knowing the foundation I'm building for my family and my boys is none other. I know the money's going to come. I know Mental Joe's going to scale, and we when that happens, we'll be in such a place as a family to have such a strong foundation. Hey, Dad's going to go away for a week. He's got to go to these conferences and do that. It's not going to be a big deal. There's an intent behind that. Connor's already saying, Dad, when do I get to travel? When can I start designing some shirts? So he's already wanting to jump in and be part of it. So yeah, and it's cool. It's cool to see, and I call it my line in the sand. I can really look back 6 years ago on my life and see where I was and who I was and where Cari and I stood. And I see where we're at today. And man, like we are thick as thieves. Like we really understand each other to our core. And that's what we want to be. We want to be that for other couples that are in the mess, that are in the roommate stage, that are just not finding themselves out of the weed and realizing there's another way to do this, man. But you gotta be willing to put in the work and maybe do something unconventional.
Mm. Amen. Let's go ahead and have you share, if you would, how people can reach out to you guys. I know you've got an Instagram, Facebook. What else have you got? And can you provide the addresses for those?
Yeah, so Facebook, Instagram, I guess you'd say it's part of our bigger following. Again, we're not rock stars by any means, but it's at Mental Joe Apparel is where you can find us. Our website is mentaljoe.com. We have a TikTok. I'm trying to get into the Twitter thing, but
Mhm.
candidly, I am not a social media guy. I'm not a fan of any of it, but I know it's a means to an end. I know I got to do it. So we're trying to dive back into some of those other platforms. I'm getting more active again on LinkedIn. One to just grow Mental Joe more professionally to those folks on that platform. So yeah, really, if you just put in Mental Joe and kind of the Google search, we'll literally pop up and kind of be the first thing there. But mentaljoe.com or at Mental Joe Apparel for Facebook and Instagram.
Cool. And I love Instagram and all the videos that you guys have put out on there. You've done some lives together.
Yeah.
And the story, I mean, the very first post I looked at this morning was just what you were talking about, like looking at the gym going, whoa. And you realize after all these years how far you've come. And I
Yeah.
want everyone to experience that. I really
Agreed.
do. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience before we wrap it up?
Man, I don't think so. We covered a ton of stuff in a very clip amount of time. We did it. We got after it. No, man, I think at the end of the day, if you're curious about these things, right? If you're curious about ketamine, you're curious about plant medicine, do your research. There's a ton of documentaries out there. Two of my favorites, it's on Netflix because most people have Netflix, is Fantastic Fungi and How to Change Your Mind. Those are two really good documentaries that kind of get your feet wet. And then there's a plethora of podcasts. And in fact, on our website, we have kind of a learning section and a resource section, and we need to update some stuff, but I'm a one-man band, so I get to it when I can.
I get
But
it.
yeah. So we try to have updated podcasts on there. We try to have updated articles. We try to have updated research. So again, when you come buy a shirt or you're curious about buying a shirt, but you really want to understand this more, we have some resources that you can kind of deep dive. So I would tell you, if you're curious, if you're stuck in life, you want a different way, be open to these modalities and ask the questions. And if you need to, reach out. Cari and I will take the time. We give people the 5 minutes, the half hour needed um, to have this. That people can book a Zoom call with me, and I will take that time. If you're locally here in the Phoenix area, if we can find time on each other's calendar, hell, I'll go have coffee and a lunch with you. It's that important to me that people go find a new way of life, that I will take that time to go drive and meet somebody to have that conversation with them. So again, if you're curious, do the research, reach out. We're a resource. Use us, and happy to do so.
Awesome. Excellent, man. Thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast today. I really appreciate what you guys are doing. I mean, the ripple effect is massive, and the good that's coming from the work you're doing, the shirts you're selling, the messaging that you're putting out there. I see exponential growth in the future for you guys and for everyone that has anything to do with you, man. I really appreciate and admire you. Thank you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And thank you for the time and the platform as well.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Okay, that's it for today's podcast, everybody. Go check out mentaljoe.com. Grab a t-shirt or two. They're really high quality t-shirts and they got a message, and you'll be supporting vets through this work that they're doing to go um, somewhere where they may not be able to afford a plant medicine sit and experience some real true healing. I remember watching last week with my wife in War and Water about how one person's life gets affected and then he goes out and within a few years they see such a change in him. It's inspiring to people who are despondent and hopeless and even suicidal to maybe do something they've never done before, and they're inspired to go out, and then it just starts with one person and
Yeah.
sharing one message, and eventually it can reach us all. And that's what you're doing. You're in the middle of it. And thank you so much, man. Keep it up.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for spending this time with us today. And a huge thank you to Chad for his honesty, his wisdom, and the incredible work he and Cari are doing through Mental Joe. If today's conversation inspired you, encouraged you, or reminded you that healing is possible, please take a moment to subscribe to the Good in the Head podcast. Your subscription helps us reach more people who need these messages of hope, courage, and transformation. We release new episodes filled with real stories, practical tools, and powerful insights to help you grow, heal, and keep showing up for your own life one day at a time. Subscribe, share the episode with someone who needs it, and keep going. We're all in this together.